Hey, welcome back. Grab a coffee because we got a lot to get into this month. June was busy, noticeably busier than it's been in a while. And there's a reason for that. Actually, there's three reasons, and one of them's kind of a big deal if you own property anywhere in this region. What does it all mean for buyers, sellers, and investors? Well, stick with me or fast forward to the end for my summary. I'm Lorna Willis with Remax Finest Realty, and this is your June 2026 Kingston-area market update. So why was June so busy? Well, there are three things going on. And honestly, this is the most interesting slide in the whole video. So bear with me. First up, the military. So CFB Kingston brings a wave of house hunting every year as families get posted in and out of the base, usually spread across the spring and into the early summer. This year, those postings landed later than normal, and they were busy. So instead of being spread out over April and May, a lot of that activity moved into June. That lines up well with what we saw: faster sales, more competition, especially in the neighborhoods close to the base. The second big thing is a tax change that's designed to stir the new build market. Ontario's enhanced HST rebate on new build homes. We're talking up to $130,000 back. It combines the provincial and federal portions of the HST, and it finally became fully law in June. Ontario's piece got royal assent back in mid-May, and the federal piece followed on June 18th. So if you're buying a new build with an agreement that's signed between April 2026 and March 2027 on a home up to $1 million, you could get the whole 13% HST back. That's a big enough number that it's genuinely changing behavior. Builders are leaning into it, and buyers who have been sitting on the fence are jumping back in. You'll see this show up in Kingston, Loyalist, and Napanee, where new construction is active. Of course, there are always unintended consequences, and this one's a doozy as it impacts property values in newer neighborhoods. Imagine if you bought a home 2 years ago for $800,000 and now that same model selling for 13% less. Doesn't make now a really good time to be putting that home on the market. If you've been following the high-speed rail story, and most of us have, you know that on June 22nd, the federal transport minister said he's directing Alto to seriously assess a southern route, one that would include an actual stop right here in Kingston. And he said, in his words, there's a strong presence for that option over the original northern route. Kingston's mayor was thrilled. And here's why this matters for a lot of us. If that southern route goes ahead, it could take a lot of pressure off landowners who've been worried about expropriation along the original route through Frontenac, Stone Mills, and Lennox and Addington. Now, nothing is decided yet. The minister said we won't see a real alignment until this fall, if that. And if the southern route does move forward, the uncertainty doesn't just disappear, it shifts, this time toward communities along that new corridor, including parts of South Frontenac. Not to be cheeky, but you know where you're guaranteed not to have high-speed rail? On the islands. And we've got some great waterfront listings on Amherst and Wolfe Island, so you might want to check those out. Anyway, 3 backstories this month. Keep them in mind as we go community by community because you'll see them show up again. Okay, so let's dig into Kingston first, since it kind of sets the tone for everything else this month. We had 199 homes sell in June. That's up 4.2% from May, though we're still down 5% from where we were at the same time last year. And remember, last year was not a banner year. Here's where it gets interesting. Average price came in at $649,000, which is up almost 3% from May. But the median price actually dipped a bit, down to $582,500. So what's going on there? Basically, a handful of higher-end sales pulled the average up, while the typical right-in-the-middle home traded a touch softer. It's not a contradiction. It just means that there's more range in this market right now than there was a few months ago. But honestly, the number that jumped out at me most was speed. Homes that sold in June took an average of just 26 days. That's down almost 20% from May, and even a bit faster than last June. Buyers were moving fast, especially military buyers who came to town for a 3-day house hunting tour. Quick reminder, because I say this every month and it matters, that 26-day number is the average for homes that actually sold. It doesn't count the ones that are still sitting on the market. So if a listing near you has been up for 2 months, this stat isn't about that one. It's about the ones that were priced right and moved. New listings pulled back a little, down 8% for May, and 13.6% of homes that sold went for over asking. That's up 12%. That's up from 12% in May. So buyers are competing again, at least for the right homes at a certain price point. Zoom out to the whole year, though, and Kingston's still down 5.3% in total sales compared to this time last year. So June was a genuinely strong month. Just don't mistake one good month for the whole year turning around. Napanee is a different flavor this month, quieter but not weaker. Only 19 homes sold, and that's down 21% from May and 27% from last June. But average price actually climbed to $549,000, up 5% from May. So fewer people bought, but the ones who did paid more. That's Napanee's active new construction scene at work too. With the HST relief now in place, I'd expect builder activity here to keep pace even where resales slows down. It's worth watching over the summer. In fact, last week I saw one of the builders released a whole bunch of new homes. Days on market crept up to 38, and that's a bit longer than May's 33, but still faster than last June's 41. Year to date, 97 sales is down about 18%. It's a quieter market overall, but pricing's holding its ground in Napanee. Loyalist had a wild month. 38 homes sold, and that's up 9% from May. But the price jump is what caught my eye. The average price went up to $693,000. That's a 20% jump in a single month and 16.6% higher than last June. Two things are stacking on top of each other here. Loyalist is a natural landing spot for military families, and it's also an active new build market. So that HST relief probably added extra fuel too. Days on market ticked up a touch from May, sitting at 34, but compare that to last June when it was 50. So even with the price surge, homes are moving faster than they were a year ago. Year to date, Loyalist's at 156 sales, which is still down 8% from last year. So a strong June, softer year, same story as Kingston. Okay, so this one's the headline number of the month. South Frontenac had 42 sales, and that's up almost 45% from May. That's the single biggest month-over-month jump anywhere in the region. Prices followed. Average selling price is up 13% to $691,000, and the median is up almost 10% to $657,500. And speed. Days on market dropped by a third, down to 35 from 52 in May. Some of this is the base effect again. South Frontenac's close enough to CFB Kingston to catch that same posting season wave. It's also peak cottage season, and a number of the June sales were folks making their dreams of a lakeside cottage come true. But keep it in perspective. Year to date, South Frontenac's still down 18% in sales compared to last year. This is a big rebound month, but not a full-blown boom yet. And one more thing to watch here, with the southern Alto route now on the table, South Frontenac's part of that conversation. And nothing's decided, but residents are keeping an eye on this through the fall. Quick heads up before I get into Stone Mills, we're talking about 13 sales here. So this is a small sample. A couple of unusual deals can swing these numbers hard, so take the percentages with a grain of salt. For example, one of the 13 sales was a home that sold for over $1 million, but 3 sales were vacant land that sold for under $300,000. That said, there's 13 sales, which is flat from May, and it's up 18% from last June. Average price dipped a bit from May, but it's up a striking 26% from a year ago. Days on market improved nicely too, down to 34 from 52 in May. So zoom out, and year-to-date sales are down 36.5%. Stone Mills has genuinely had a slower year, even with a good June. And for landowners here, that Alto update I mentioned, if the southern route does end up being the one that goes ahead, it could take a lot of the expropriation worry off the table for this area. Nothing's confirmed, but it's a promising sign. And finally, Gananoque is our smallest market. So let's be honest about these numbers. With only 8 sales in June, And with that few transactions, the month-over-month percentages can look scary or fantastic for no real reason. So instead, I want to focus on the year-to-date picture because it's a lot more trustworthy. Year-to-date, there's 40 sales, and that's down 18% from last year. Average price is up 6%. Median is up over 5%. So pricing's actually been climbing here, even with fewer deals closing. The number I'd like to flag is days on market. Year to date, days on market has stretched up to 51, and that's up from 47 last year. Homes are taking longer to sell, and terminations, which is listings getting pulled instead of sold, they're up a lot, 56 so far this year versus 21 at this point last year. That tells me that sellers are pricing a bit too optimistically and having to pull it back. If you're selling in Gananoque, this is a market where getting the price right matters. So what does this mean for us? Well, for buyers, speed isn't the same everywhere right now. Kingston, Loyalist, and South Frontenac are moving fast. So that means you have to jump if you find the one. Napanee and Stone Mills and Gananoque still allow buyers a bit of time to assess opinions and options. If a new build's on your radar in Kingston, Loyalist, or Napanee, that HST rebate is worth running the numbers on. The downside is it might be a year before you get into that new home, but you're going to save some big money. For sellers right now, price it right. We've been saying this all along. Terminations are climbing in a few spots, especially Gananoque, which tells me that overpriced listings are getting pulled and repriced, not sold. And if you're near the base, hoping that posting season bump carries your listing, well, remember that bump helped the homes that were already priced well. It's not a rescue plan for an overpriced house. For investors, I think investors right now are keeping an eye on Kingston, Loyalist, and Napanee for new construction activity as that HST rebate works through the market. Also in Kingston and Loyalist, there's programs for additional residential units, which means a lot of these new build homes are going to come with apartments already built in the basement. Go easy on drawing conclusions from Gananoque. The sample's just too small for some months. And keep watching the Alto story. I'll be back with updates the second anything more concrete comes out on that this fall. So that's June in the books. If any of this makes you want to talk through your specific situation, buying, selling, or just keeping an eye on things, reach out anytime. We're at lwrealty.ca. Thanks for sticking with me through this one, and I'll see you next month. Hey, if this information has been helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning into the Kingston Real Estate Insider. Stay smart, stay local, stay ahead. Catch you in the next episode. Hey,